ate it with the panties on. Yes, I want it.
Hey guys, welcome back to A to Z EDC. My name is Jim, and I'm glad that you're here to join me. Today we're going to be talking about an extremely powerful little flashlight. And when I say extremely, I'm talking 4,000 lumens out of a light that's about 3 inches long. So yeah, it's pretty darn impressive, and it's got a decent amount of throw too, which really you wouldn't expect from a light this tiny. Now, I've had the wonderful opportunity to bring out to you a lot of really great flashlights from big to small and everything in between. But this is one that if you can get past two little hang-ups, and I will discuss them a little bit later on, then I think this may end up being one of the best flashlights that you could ever possibly own. So what are those two hang-ups? Let's take a closer look down in the tabletop review and discuss what they are. Now we'll go to what I was reading. This is me cranking it up to 2,000 lumens.
Go out of my way, finding lights every day. Always a hopping online, finding more to make mine, and watching my money drain away. All the niche AI emitters and Samsung for beginners, from warm blue to intense bright white. How many do I need? Enough to completely dominate the night.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Once again, this is the Imalent LD70 with 4,000 lumens of max performance, which also gives you 203 meters of throw advertised with 10,350 candela, and you get all that for right around $55, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Now, these can be purchased over at neilsgadgets.com. You can use my link and my discount code to get yourself 15% off. You can also buy them direct from Imalent. I don't have a discount code for that, unfortunately, and there are several other retailers online that carry them as well. So, what is it about this light that's so special? There's actually quite a few things. Let's go ahead and get it out of the packaging. Now, if you're wondering about the lanyard that I'm using and why I'm not using the lanyard that came with it, it's because I believe this looks a little bit nicer than this. These are very generic and kind of cheap looking, and this one I like a lot more. I have quite a few of these. These are sold over at neilsgadgets.com as well. And the big deal on this one is going to be the bead that I have installed on there, and that's because it does this. And who doesn't love stuff that glows? I know I sure do, because as I've mentioned many times before, I'm just an overgrown child. So all of that aside, the basic idea for this light is Imalent has designed this to be a keychain light. Now, while I prefer my keychain lights to be significantly smaller, narrower, lighter weight, this is still a very small and compact light. There are many lights out there that you would carry this in the pocket with some sort of lanyard attached to it and just kind of let the lanyard dangle out. You can grab it and then you can use it. I'm just not a big fan of putting something this large on my keys. So, what are you getting here? Let's go ahead and turn it on. The first thing I want to call your attention to is this OLED display right here. And as we cycle through, you'll see that it's going to tell you all of the different modes that you have. Starting off in low, which is 20 lumens, that lasts 15 hours. Press and hold again to get to your mid-low, which is 200 lumens for 3 hours and 50 minutes. Press and hold once again. Takes you to the mid, which is 900 lumens, which they advertise as lasting for 45 minutes. Press and hold one last time, and that takes you to the high, which is 2,000 lumens, which is reported to last for 1.5 minutes. And then it steps down to 900 lumens, and that'll run for 39 minutes. And then, of course, double tap brings you to turbo, which is the startling 4,000 lumens, which will last for 1 minute. And then it drops down to 900 lumens for 38 minutes. So you've got a lot of versatility here with 5 different modes in it. And that's one of the things that first attracted me to it. That you've got such a tiny compact size and you have so much versatility between the modes and a staggering turbo. Your specs are as follows. The main emitter is going to be, I shouldn't say main emitter, the only emitter is the Cree XHP 70.2. The dimensions on this, you're just under an inch in diameter, 980 thousandths of an inch, or 0.98 inches. And your length is 3.19 inches. So basically 3.2 inches. Very, very short, very, very small. It is IPX8, 2 meters submersible in water, and drop tested to 1.5 meters of resistance. You have an electronic lockout on the tail switch. So if you do have this buried down in your pocket or in a backpack or some other bag of some sort, you don't have to worry about it turning on and setting the world on fire with 4,000 lumens. Now, here are the 2 issues that I have with this light. And for some people, it's not going to be a huge deal. But for some people, it is going to be a major, or they are going to be major decision makers. Number 1, you have a built-in battery, which is an 1100 milliamp hour 18350 that cannot be removed or serviced by you. And the other deciding factor is still going to be battery related. It's the fact that you have a proprietary magnetic charging cable instead of a USB-C cable. So that means you can't just take any of the charging cables that you have in your pile of charging cables for all of your other lights and devices and take one of those with you. You have to remember before you leave, if you're going on a trip or something, to take this one specific cable or you can never charge this battery.
What? No.
For a lot of people, that is going to be a major deal breaker. And I'll be honest with you, it was almost enough to keep me from wanting it. But I figured, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. I have a little charging area, charging station, where I have all of my chargers, whether it be standard USB, USB-C, the Olight magnetic cables, and this one can sit there right along with them. But in the real world, it's still a pain in the butt because there have been many, many times I have forgotten to charge this light because it's just not at the forefront of my mind to grab this cable and go, ah, that's for my LD70, I better charge that thing up. In many cases, I'm taking my individual batteries out, putting them in a charging bay. And other ones that I carry often that may have onboard charging like this, I will plug in the onboard charger and charge them up. And I could have 4 or 5 lights charging at any one time. This one I tend to forget a lot. As a matter of fact, later on in the video when I go outside to do the nighttime beam shots, I've had to redo that now because when I got out there and I went to click turbo, the OLED display lit up with a dead battery because it didn't have enough juice to run the 4,000 lumens because I had not charged it up recently because I had forgotten to bring this downstairs from my studio to have this by the back door ready to go out to do the nighttime beam shots. So it can be somewhat of a pain in the butt. And I realize it took a lot of time for me to get through all that, but it is that big of a deal, I feel, for a lot of people that you need to be made aware of it. Now, for those of you that are still with me and didn't tune out of frustration, let's continue talking about the light. One thing that I wish was a little bit different, I wish the body was less slick. It really is a cool looking design. You've got an all aluminum body and you have this aluminum heat shield over it, which I'm sure it's effective, but it still gets real hot at high or turbo strengths. And it gets hot quickly. If you're using turbo, let's go ahead and make sure the LED is, or the OLED is displaying. If you're holding it like this, you're going to feel it heating up within about 15 seconds. And within 30 seconds, it's almost too hot to hold. It does get crazy hot because you have a tiny little light and an incredible amount of power. So that LED is being pushed to the limit and you're going to feel it. But the body is so slick and smooth. I'm really glad that I've got the lanyard on here because I feel I have to hold it with my fingers on the lanyard or I'm going to drop this light and lose it or break it. Now, it will take 1.5 meters drop. So sure, it can handle a little bit of abuse. But if I'm out on the dock, I don't want to drop this into the river water and lose it forever. If I'm trying to pull it out of my pocket, I'm in some dark area, you know, where you would need to use a flashlight. I don't want to drop this and lose it. Now, if I have had the opportunity to either charge this bead or it's been hanging out of my pocket in the daylight and it's been charged up, sure, then when the lights go out, I can look down and I'll see my brightly lit glow-in-the-dark bead and I can locate it in the dark, but I don't want to count on that. That's kind of an emergency backup, but I don't want to rely on that. It is very, very slick. It can be sometimes cumbersome to get the right handhold on it. Again, I'm having to rely heavily on my lanyard in order to do it. So whether you're using your own supplied lanyard or you're using the one that comes in your packaging, you're going to want to use it for sure. But once you get past those little things, which again for you may be big things, I think that you're going to enjoy this a lot. And it sure is impressive when you're talking to your buddies, whether they're into flashlights or not. Maybe you're doing a comparison between your light and their light. They've got a light that's 3 times the size and less than half as powerful. Or they're not really into lights at all, but you know it's going to wow them when you pull this tiny thing out of your pocket, you kick it on, and you just light up the area all around you with an incredible spread of light. It's fun, it's cool, and honestly, that's a lot of reason why a lot of us buy so many different kinds of flashlights. Because we're having fun with them. You're going to have a couple that are just going to be your practical, utilitarian EDC lights. They're going to explore into crazy stuff. Nobody needs a 4,000 lumen pocket torch. But it sure is fun. Just like you don't need an 800 horsepower car that can go 205 miles an hour. But it sure is cool to have it. It's nice to know that you can do it. It's the same principle. So yes, could I spend $30 and get a larger sized light that gives me just about as much power? Yes. But for me, it's the combination of everything. It's the compact size, and it's the really nice looking design, and it's the extreme amount of power that this little guy puts out. Now let's do this. Let's talk about beam shots. Let's look at the quality of the beam. Let's look at the spread of the flood, and also look a little bit at the distance of the throw and see if it's going to satisfy your needs for a powerful mini pocket light. Crazy enough, even on the low, it's actually got a nice amount of light. So cranking it up from the 20 lumens, which, I'm sorry, that is way more than 20 lumens, significantly more. Now we're at 200 lumens. Yeah, I'm sorry, this says 20 lumens, but there is no way that's 20 lumens. If I had to guess unscientifically, I would say that that is probably closer to 100 lumens. Now we bump it up to medium here at what's supposed to be 200 lumens. Sorry about that, I have to keep cutting because my camera will not focus for any reason. Okay, so let me try this again. So now we're on the medium, which is the stated 200 lumens. Now we'll go to the, well, that was the low medium. This is the medium, which is at, say, 900 lumens. How does that do for distance? Oh, yeah. Oh, that looks good. Cranking it up to 2000 lumens. We have a huge, wide area of light. So you don't have a clearly defined hotspot. It's just this big, large, open spill area. Now what happens when we crank it up to turbo? It says once again that I don't have enough battery to do that. Let's try it now. There we go. So along with the other two things that I'm not crazy about as far as the battery goes, the other thing is going to have to be the battery longevity, because the only time I've used this light today was when I did the tabletop review for you guys. And what was that, 15 minutes? And I certainly wasn't using high hardly at all. Man, the throw is way better than you would think for something this size. Now, I've only used this light so far in enclosed areas and fairly small areas. Nothing crazy at all. Makes me feel kind of bad because I've had this light for probably 6 months and I haven't used it to its full capacity. All right, so we are in an overheat warning mode. And I've kicked it down to 900 lumens. And there's just nothing that this light won't do. It's incredible. Well, it won't do turbo hardly at all because it keeps saying the battery is zapped. But anyway, that's it for this light, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me as always. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I've enjoyed owning this thing. And I'm gonna have to start playing with this a little bit more often, it seems. I'll see you guys on the next video.